to, in some futile way, dull the pain of repetition without giving time to hard reset. An old-style Steam-based counter-argument to the modern shooter. It is either this or Space Marine, and given options, I'll go to the one that infuriates softbots. Now, what first shone a big spotlight on hard reset as choirs of angels sung from on high was the fact that it was developed by some of the guys who worked on Painkiller. That now classic edition of FPS that is still more fun than any mortal sinner has any right to have. Presumably not the same ex-Painkiller guys who will walk on the bullet store and balance on polished City B silverware while every all the best things to do. Painkiller guys who still have their self-respect, whose stated goal in creating hard reset was to recreate that same blood-gun fun that characterizes older 90s shooters. Unfortunately, the old 90s shooters that seem to end up influencing the most was way too. The experience is about as much variety and entertainment value as the time when they could watch rock roll the morning after a large tasting party. And hard reset stated to follow the former people compliance ways makes it possible to build Harris's solo career after Freeborn, no longer the glory days of the top of that as Bingo. Hard reset is a dystopic cyberpunk tale about a blood-stained Fletcher, a kind of field agent or police officer detective thing in a sprawling nightmare city. It is the cyberpunk what Tokyo is to the giant monster genre. And I'm going to throw a little impromptu competition. So if you haven't played Hard Reset yet, I want you to download it now, play through the entire game once to the end. Don't worry, it's not very long, it's independent, so the money run out faster, and then come back in and play through what I'm talking about in 25 hours or less. It's something to do with evil robots invading the city because of an evil scientist, but it turns out he's not evil or something, and they use the word nanomachines like video games and dictaphones. They're trying to have this rich, full-on, syndicated story between game sections, but they keep throwing out curveballs that have nothing to do with anything that happens in the game, and just confuse me. Something about your job being to defend an archive of billions of digitalized human beings, but I only remember blowing up and the occasional epileptic stick. But then Painkiller story was fucking woeful. The journey of a copy of Painkiller to a packaging facility is probably a better story than what Painkiller itself had, and like Painkiller, Hard Reset reserves the story when the food is in this case loaded. There's literally nothing else you can be concentrating on, and it still makes less sense than a bounty homeless man enacting King on Opera. But Painkiller made up for itself in a set of environment, creating weapons and hordes of enemies with no not tummy to use more, and I'm sad to say Hard Reset lets itself down on every one of those points. Because apparently the Quake 2 comes with this Quake 2 a game that never got past one kind of environment, namely the interior of a cardboard box, and it's and Hard Reset is a success that leads in certain industrial areas where everyone's really paranoid about losing things, so they shut multicolored neon lights for absolutely fucking everything. This is another one of those fundamentally represents nothing, but the connectivity of it all is driving ridiculous. At one level, you're starting at a subway station, and a few corridors later, you're on a rooftop. In this design, the city must showing pocket calculators to affect the users, whether it gaps around this about what about the actual shoot. It's true the game doesn't take more than maybe make it do something of the mercenary, but as with the environment, they've got a whole variety of things. The only other thing to fight two kinds of aggressive bruiser and a few talent swap wheelie bins. There's really no way of saying this about many communities conservative anti-game campaigners, but there isn't as much fun to be had in shooting robots as there is in shooting organic life forms. When I fire a rocket to a classic starting monsters, I like to know that the cleanup will have to be done with a mop rather than a broom. It's hard to explain, but surely we can all agree that the lawnmower theme from Brain Dead just wouldn't have been as memorable if it had been taking place in the original part of the Harvey Dawn. It is to say nothing of the inherent problem of exclusively fighting shiny metallic enemies covered in bleachy lights in a shiny metallic environment covered in bleachy lights. It does get visually confusing and frustrating when you're trying to spot a distant sniper while a charging wheelie bin is trying to use you to redecorate. Call me crazy, but if your weapon system is based around having two separate guns with 4 or 5 unlockable firing modes in case, then yes, I suppose you do have a pretty fucking stupid weapon system, but since we're stuck with it, surely it would make more sense to have one key that toggles between the two rather than having one key for each. But now I am nitpicking. Is it fair to criticize an indie game for not having the resources to be as blinged out as previous better funded games? Certainly isn't. Hard Reset does end rather abruptly after the second boss, but at least it's not so long that the repetition is done. Maybe if I had the time, I could play through the plot 700 or 800 times and finally get what's going on. And let's fall back on the capitalists' argument that you can't expect too much for under $30. Treat Hard Reset as a short, snacky rush of violence one can enjoy to cool down between big, stodgy AAA titles, like having a slightly poorly made cappuccino and a Twix before going back to your desk and shoving your head in another bucket of crabs. starting to notice a bit of a recurring pattern in Shooter Season 2011 besides the usual ones like Brown and characters taping their asthma inhalers to their eye and sights. They all seem to have this running theme of humanity being fucked, not just threatened with fuckery, but conveniently pre-fucked when the game starts. Resistance 3 opens with the human race cowering in the last few orifices the Chimera haven't gotten around to sticking their cocks into and the planet about to explode, and Gears of War 3 opens with the human government having completely collapsed, the Chunk Brigade all living on boats, and the planet about to explode. You see, threatening to explode the planet is something bad writers and twats do when they can't think of any other way to raise the stakes for the concluding installment of a trilogy. If they haven't come up with a single character whose goals and struggles we can actually feel invested in, they can always play the exploding planet card because holy shit, I live on a planet! And there are always a few stray taint hairs on the exploding planet card from having been recently pulled from an arse because I don't remember anyone mentioning it before this. So Marcus Phoenix and his grizzled backing vocalists are back, and as always, if they didn't occasionally stand next to the two token willowy hotties, you could be forgiven for thinking you'd accidentally set your TV to a wider aspect ratio. Fat-necked gorillas wearing fridges with armholes to a man, and they're all living on a ship and having to deal with a new race of snarly monsters. Apparently different to the previous race of snarly monsters, but not in any practical sense. Suddenly, someone who's apparently important dropped in with news that Marcus's dad is still alive, and he's also apparently important, so everyone goes off to look for him in the most securest possible way. If it sounds like I don't have the firmness to grip on what exactly is going on in Gears of War, it's because I've got to learn that. That's something I'll get into later, but now I'll say that ever so slightly spoilery way that this is the last installment that later characters really die, and hilariously Marcus Phoenix attempts to act aggrieved. I honestly can't tell the difference between a Marcus Phoenix who's angry because of grief and one who's angry because he woke up that morning. Now before any of you Gears of War fans rush off to humiliate yourselves in the comment section by posting something along the lines of what did you expect Gears of War is about chainsaw bayonet receptionist plot and characters for girls people with sensitive emotions next, I'd like to preemptively tell you to fuck off. Here's why. If I had said that Gears of War 3's plot was a spellbinding emotional roller coaster from start to finish, none of you motherfucking fanboys would be saying the plot doesn't matter. You trumpet that from the fucking rooftop when someone asks to leave. I'll touch on specific gameplay briefly because it's what I'm all there to say. The build will add nothing new on that front except 4-player co-op in case you and a couple of friends have all taken bad acid and can only stay sane by boring yourselves as efficiently as possible. I remember being kind to Gears of War 2, but I honestly can't remember why. I think at the time I was trying to meet it halfway, on the assumption that the waist-deep pool of scummy brown water shooters had devolved into was something I was just going to have to live with. But having played Resistance 3 and a bit of that hard reset thing on Steam that's like Painkiller if they'd nicked one of Philip K. Dick's least comprehensible plots, it mystifies me how anyone can think Gears of War is a better shooter. It's the original chest-high wall plot apocalypse. I hate how sprinting makes the camera headbang like it's at a Meatloaf gig as if to say, moving quickly in Gears of War, not without a migraine you don't. Ever play the Gears of War drinking game? You take a shot every time Marcus Phoenix says something along the lines of go, move, or come on. He does it like clockwork after every shooting section because the game's justifiably paranoid that you've nodded off. But I don't think there's much more to be gained from nitpicking my specific problems with Gears of War. I think what we need to do is step outside for a moment, press our faces against the window, and look at things from a broader perspective. You may remember precisely 229 words ago I said that I can't remember why I was nice to Gears of War 2. To elaborate, I can't remember much about Gears of War 2 at all, despite playing it through to the end. I remember a bit where you carry a box, and a bit where you go inside a giant worm, which probably still wins the prize for the most Freudian moment in the entire series, and that's saying a lot, considering the main character's ongoing chainsaw vasectomy clinic side business, but I couldn't tell you how it fit into the ongoing alpha male tire swing cock slapper loser. So whenever Gears of War 3 called back to the previous series, I was kinda lost. Were the Lambent introduced in the last game? I guess so, because everyone already knows them at the start, but then I'm pretty sure they pulled the planet exploding thing out of their ass between games. And what about that female character voiced by Claudia Black, because aren't they all these days, whose only character trait seems to be reminding everyone that she's a girl whenever there's a gap in the conversation? Was she in the last game? Or that other female character with no personality at all? The one who I only figured out was supposed to be Marcus Phoenix's love interest because she put a hand on his shoulder at the end in a manner resembling a white plastic spork leaning on a chest of drawers? Now I do remember Marcus's dad being a big ongoing thing. Christ, he even looks like Sigmund Freud. At this point, they might as well equip everyone with pink jizz cannons and make all the enemies charge at your bum hole first. But didn't they already establish he was still alive, or did I just conclude that logically because they wouldn't have kept harping on his beardy ass if they weren't going to pay it off at some point? You see, you can argue specifics from both perspectives until the planet explodes. You can harp on about it being potty and brown, or you can say it's at least competently strung together, and I'd certainly prefer frustrated teenage boys play it rather than use their time going around setting fire to cats. But in the final analysis, the game can't be good if the moment you put it down, your brain pulls up everything to do with it and tosses it into your mental junk drawer, so that all I remember of it a year on is so much brown noise, a big sweaty steroids. Of all the big names getting their trilogies tied this year, Gears of War I consider the most likely to get a last-minute death row reprieve. It's a relic of a previous age, too dull for a reboot. I'm already forgetting stuff about Gears of War 3.